Sound Christ. Bear with me 1 second. Are we live? Because I'm trying to find it on YouTube.
Yeah.
All right, I see it. The audio to what? All right, I see it. Yeah. All right, audio's good. All right, Shalom, Israel. Yahweh Shem Yahshua Barakatham, Yahweh Shema Tham Bashem Yahushua, priest and officer of 1,000 Yadai. This is the Thursday night history class. Now, Blacks, Latinos, Native American Indians, our history is important because we have to understand this, man. Our history is right here in this Bible. Our history is right here. We have to understand, man. We have to understand the importance of learning our history and coming back to our identity. We are not so-called African Americans. We're not. We are the Jews of antiquity. The Bible says that we are the Jews of antiquity. And guess what? I'm going to show it to you. Let me get Jeremiah chapter 14 and verse 2. Also, I'll be answering your questions tonight. If y'all have any questions, make sure you type them in. I'll be answering them. But if I could. Topic for tonight is God with everyone. Does God love everybody? Now, we know this is not true, but it's important to understand who God's love is only for. And history shows that. History shows it. Because if God loved everybody, well, goddamn, I.S.U.P.K, the Lord flooded the earth for interracial marriage. The Lord killed the firstborn of them Africans, the Egyptians, man, because of the affliction they've done to our people, Israelites, Blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians. And we're going to celebrate that Passover, the Lord's Passover this year, April 1st, Raleigh, North Carolina. I beseech and implore every Black, Latino, and First Nation man and woman, you are ordered to be at this Passover, man, in Raleigh, North Carolina. First, we got to understand we are not so-called African American. We are not descendants, of Leo, Scipios, Africanus, and Americos Vespucci. Not. We're the Jews of antiquity, and I'm going to show it to you. Read what you got, I.S.U.P.K.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 14, and verse 2.
All right.
Judah mourneth.
Judah mourneth. What does it mean when the Lord says Judah mourneth? I'll tell you what it means. When the scriptures say Judah mourneth, it means the Jews are in mourning. Meaning Black man, Latino man, First Nation man and woman, we are in mourning. Everybody's not mourning. There's a people on this planet, man, who are mourning. And what is important to understand, right, as the Lord's chosen people, is this. We're those people that are mourning. We're the Jews of antiquity. The Bible says that the Jews would be in mourning. Now, we can cross-examine it, right? The so-called Jew's not mourning. He's not. He's living his best life. But more importantly, let's break it down word for word, line upon line. The Bible says Judah mourneth. Now, what's short for? What is Judah? What is Jew short for? Judah, meaning the Jews would be in mourning. Black man, we are in mourning in the ghetto. Latino man, we are mourning in the barrio. We're the ones that they don't want to let through the border right now. Like, if you look at that story that came out right now, El Paso, Texas, on how to, our brothers and sisters, man, our Latino brothers and sisters, how they don't want them to cross the border, but you let the Arabs fly over in planes. I thought the Afghanistanis was the enemies of America, I.S.U.P.K. I thought, Afghanistan, the Taliban was the enemies of the United States, but guess what? They let them come over the border. You see how they let 500,000 Ukrainians walk through in a single file line. They don't want the Guatemalan or Panamanian or Mexican to come over. Why? Because we're God's chosen people. We have to realize, man, that we are the ones in mourning. Everybody's not in mourning. The oppressor don't got nothing to mourn for. He's in charge. We're mourning as blacks and Latinos. Keep reading. We're in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 14 and verse 2.
And the gates thereof language.
And the gates thereof language. What is a gate used for? A gate is used for protection. Now, what is the protection for our people? The church, the Muslim mosques. Do you know how many of our children get abused every day in the church? They sing and dance all day. What comes out of that besides our children being abused with the pastor touching them? You know what I mean? Our people are destroyed, man, because we don't have righteous leadership. The first thing we want to do is sing and dance and march. Black man, Latino man, we have to be about that action. Action is what gets things done. And what is the action? Coming back to what our God says in this Bible. That's what's going to get things done. You singing, we shall overcome. We've been singing for how many years, I.S.U.P.K? I'm going to come to you. We've been singing for over, 60, 70 years. And what has it gotten us? The same problem that we had in the 20s is still here. And I'm being nice by shortchanging it since the 20s. I can go all the way back to the 1600s, 1500s. The same problem is still here because we're not obeying our God. We think singing and dancing is going to cause this oppressor to love us. I have some news for you, black man and Latino man. Those of you that are my people that think you're free, white, and 21, they are never going to love us. No matter how much singing and dancing and shuckling and jiving and bojangling you going to do, it's not going to change until we do what God says to do. Go ahead, I.S.U.P.K.
If I could, first I just want to bring a precept. You know what I'm saying? The scripture said, it said he was looking for men to fill the gaps. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like Most High was looking for men to fill the gaps, meaning to protect his people from the things that affect his people. And when they say the gates thereof language, it's such a heavy scripture when you just look at our leaderships, especially the Christian church. It's like within the Christian church, you could tell that religion came from slavery. You know why? Mm-hmm. Because if God is meant to deliver you from the things that you go through, and somebody is unaliving you, throwing your children to alligators, mm-hmm. Assaulting your wife, assaulting a man and a child, like, you know what I'm saying? Like the scripture said, they sold a boy for a harlot. Like you have
and a daughter for wine.
Right, and a daughter for wine. You look at the abuse that our people went through in captivity, and then you look at the religion, and like you said, right next door, they over there playing that trash song they play every week. But it's like y'all not even talking about child molestation. Y'all not talking about fighting poverty there. Y'all not talking about the real problems that plague our people. Y'all ain't even bringing it up. You know why? Because our old problem when you learned Christianity was the oppressor lynched. And you couldn't talk about that.
You can't talk about it. You can't talk about it today. That's why they want to take, and I'm glad you said that, not to cut you off. That's why they don't want critical race theory to be in the curriculums in these schools, right? Because they would have to show the dark side of the history of America. And the real history of America, they don't want to teach that. They don't like that. Listen, the schools is Christian. Right. Like if you are a young black or Latino boy or girl and you don't want to stand for the national anthem, you get ostracized for it. Right. Hell, you could be a millionaire in the NFL or NBA. And if you don't stand, you're going to get scrutinized for it. For what reason do we have the benefit from that and to stand up for a country that never stood up for us? This country never stood up for us. This country was built off of the backs of the oppression of the North American Indian and Seminole Indian, off of the backs of slavery of the Taino Indian, the Puerto Ricans and Cubans, you know what I mean, and the Negroes of America, of the Americas. That's what happened to our people. And it's not being taught in school. They don't want us to know who the enemy is. Like I'm from Philadelphia. Listen, man, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad, listen, man, you're right. Kaepernick was kicked out of the NFL, man. Kicked out of the NFL for what? For taking a knee. God damn, Salaki. Taking a knee. They don't want you to take a knee, black man, Latino man, First Nation man and woman. You got to stand up and take whatever oppression we get come across to us. You know what that's like? If I could break it down in simpler times, right? Could you imagine telling a woman who is being abused by her husband? Could you imagine telling a woman being abused by, or any man, shalom, warrior, Lord of Christ, to just take that abuse? No, you would want her to get out of that situation. Like, what the hell do I look like? Ashtawa, I was selling TikTok and YouTube. Like, that's like us telling, that'd be like us telling a sister, you got to stay in that abusive relationship. Nobody's going to tell her that. Nobody is going to tell that woman or that child that you have to love the man or woman that abused you, that touched you. No, you would rightfully want to seek justice. Shouldn't the North American Indian have justice? Shouldn't the Seminole Indian have justice? Shouldn't the Puerto Ricans and Cubans? Shouldn't the Mexicans? Shouldn't the Guatemalans and Panamanians? And the Haitians and the West Indians and the Negroes of America? Shouldn't we get justice? That's why it says our gates languish, because there's no righteous leadership for Blacks and Latinos except for the I.S.U.P.K under command of GEN.YAHANNA. Keep going.
It says, Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish.
Mm-hmm.
They are black unto the ground.
The Jews are what?
Black unto the ground.
The Jews are black unto the ground. Black unto the ground. Understand this, man. The Jews are black. And when it says unto the ground, you break that ground up, you'll see different derivatives of black and brown becoming different shades. You know what I mean? And the problem is they tell us the color is not in the Bible. And that's the problem. Because of Christianity and the Muslim mosques, we're not taught these things. And here's the thing, right? What our people don't understand. Some nut, in the comments talking about there's injustices for every race. Here's the problem with that. The oppressor got justice for 9/11. He did. He went over there and bombed Iraq and bombed Afghanistan, unalived, hundreds of thousands of Arabs who had nothing to do with it. Right. They got justice. What justice did we get from slavery? What justice did the North American and Seminole Indian get, from being disenfranchised here and placed on concentration camps? Goddamn, what justice did the Puerto Rican and Cuban get? They lose power every year due to the hurricanes that happen. And what do? They don't send anything. They don't even want to send toilet paper. Right. They don't even want to send basic essentials. And they're an ally of America. But you know what they do? They all come together and help oppress us. They tell us to forget about these things. 9/11 was how many years ago? Imagine us going outside saying, forget about 9/11. You look at me like I'm an evil man. But when I bring up 1985 in West Philadelphia at Osage Avenue, when they firebombed our neighborhood in West Philadelphia in 1985, they dropped bombs in West Philly, man, on Osage Avenue. You know what I mean? Unaliving Black and Latino men, women, and babies. And then took their remains and put them in different colleges so they can be examined, not giving them proper burials. That's why the oppressor is evil, man. That's why he is the wicked on the earth. He's the devil that the Bible speaks of, man. But we got to forget, there's a people on this earth that call themselves Jews that are oppressors that go find 90-year-old Nazis out of they in hospice. They in hospice. They on death row. They go and take them, wheel them out on their wheelchair, and then say, oh, you had something to do with the so-called Holocaust. Guess what? We're going to get justice. And guess what? They should get justice for what happened to them. Right. But you know who else is going to get justice and deserves justice? The children of Israel, God's chosen people, Blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians. Go ahead, Ashtawa.
If I could, what's so heavy about what you're bringing out and this justice thing, because they always do what to us. They always tell us, well, it didn't happen to you, it didn't happen to you. Pearl Harbor happened to you. Why y'all go over there and New Zealand? 9/11 didn't happen to you. What are you talking about? Y'all sitting there arguing about the Civil War and how, dang, you wouldn't fight in the Civil War.
Nope.
They be mad at brothers for kneeling during the pledge, like you said. You weren't in the military. Why don't you let the military say that they don't want him kneeling?
You know what's crazy?
You ain't gonna fight nobody.
You know what's crazy?
You go over there and eat.
You know what's crazy? The military are the ones that told Colin Kaepernick to kneel. Initially, Kaepernick sat down. An ex-Marine sat Kaepernick down and said, hey, man, I understand. A Marine, you can look this up, sat Kaepernick down and said, I respect what you're doing, but could you kneel instead of sit? He didn't have to oblige. He decided to kneel, and y'all made it about the flag and patriotism. Let me tell you something else that y'all probably didn't know. America itself does not give a damn about veterans. Right. They don't. Right. White or black. Yes, the supreme black supremacists is up here telling you they don't give a damn about their own neither. That's how evil they are. Do you know how many men and women went and fought, you know what I mean, in the United States Marine Corps and their Army and their Green Berets and their Air Force, and they're living on the streets right now, but you mad at Kaepernick and mad at black people and Latinos because we want to kneel and not stand up? You don't even respect your veterans. So you miss me with all that nonsense. You don't respect them. You don't honor them. You don't. You know who you really don't honor? You don't honor the millions of blacks and Latinos that went out and fought for this country neither. You don't. You don't. And guess what? That's our mistake. We shouldn't have been fighting in your wars, in your armies. We shouldn't have. Rakatayah wa y'all was shy. Listen, man, Muhammad Ali said it best. Muhammad Ali said, man, ain't no Viet Cong ever called me nigga. I'm being called a nigga right here. And they scrutinized Ali for that. You wanted Ali to go over there and potentially die. But when and come back and still be called a nigga and still be treated like garbage. He was intelligent for not going over there and fighting the Vietnamese, man. And any brother that gets out of the military, man, that gets away from that, you are intelligent or sister. You have no business being in there. If you are a black or a Latino or First Nation man and you want to join an army, you got to join the Lord's army, man. You have to join the Lord's army. That's what you got to do. You have to. Join the I.S.U.P.K. And naturally, man, a lot of our brothers, man, live that gang lifestyle. You live out there in the streets. You know what I mean? Because our people are natural warriors. You want to be where you belong. You want to be a soldier. Every black, Latino, or First Nation man has it in them to be a soldier, to be militant. You can't do that in the oppressor's military or army, because you're going to be fighting, you know what I mean, a war within. You're going to have to fight off the oppressor. You're going to have to fight the other people over there. You're going to have to fight them. Cut the nonsense out, man, and come and fight for your own people. Come and fight for God. That's what we have to do. That's what we have to do. And you know what the real fight for God is? And it's a hard one. When you learn how to fight for God, you know what you'll do? You won't smoke weed no more. You won't smoke cigarettes. You'll put the crack down. You'll stop unaliving your brother and sister. Sisters, you won't unalive that baby that is not born yet in your womb. All of those things will disappear, and you will have something great. You will realize how important it is, man, to be a Jew. How important. As a matter of fact, let me get that. Give me Romans chapter 3 and verse 1 up. Young man Devontae, give me Romans 3 and 1, nice and loud, man, because we need to understand the benefit of being a Jew, of being an Israelite. Because the thing is, with our people, you think, and it's a sad thing, and it's a cruel world, because the scriptures say we become a byword, man, for these other nations because we left our God's law, statutes, and commandments. Let me explain something, man. We are more than just being black. We are more than just being Latino or so-called native, because guess what? Those three labels, that's not who we really are. Black is a color. What's your nationality? That's the question for everybody. What is your nationality? You African American? How can you be a descendant of Leo, Scipios, Africanus, and Americos Vespucci? Oh, you're a Puerto Rican? You realize that they named the island of Puerto Rico when the conquistador and Cortez and them boys got over there to them islands. They named the island Rich Port, Port of Riches. That's what Puerto Rico means. That's your name, no. Puerto Rican man and woman, you are of the tribe of Ephraim. Black man, you know what I mean? The black man and woman of America, you know what I mean? You are of the tribe of Judah. Haitian man and woman, you are of the tribe of Levi. West Indians, Jamaicans, you know what I mean? And Trinidadians, and you know, Trinidad and Tobago and Guyana and St. Lucia. You are the tribe of Benjamin. It's important to understand our identity because this is our nationality. Like, and the problem is you think, oh, because we came from this place, that makes us this. No, if I take a Chinese family and I take them to Canada and they start to have children, are their children Chinese or Canadian? Exactly. They're Chinese. They have a land to go back to. They have their culture intact. We're people that have been robbed and spoiled and stripped of our identity by the oppressor, who is the devil that the Bible speaks of. Now is the time for us to come back to that identity and understand the advantage that we have in being a Jew. And I'm going to show it to you. I'm in the book of Romans, chapter 3 and verse 1. Again, if y'all have any questions, I will be answering your questions tonight. Bobbity. Keep going. Read what you got, Wade.
Book of Romans, chapter 3, verse 1. What advantage then have the Jew?
What advantage then have the Jew? What advantage do you have at being a Jew? I'll tell you, being a Jew is everything. Everything. Let me explain something to you. I think when I first came into True Rock, when I was a young man in the Trooper, I used to wake up and thank God that I was not an African. For real. That's a rough one. Thank the Most High that you're not, you know what I mean, a heathen. Because what advantage do we have being a Jew? Keep reading.
Or what profit is there of circumcision?
And what profit of there is circumcision? What's the profit of circumcision? Meaning this. What is the circumcision? The circumcision, man, is this: being circumcised unto our Lord, being chosen from our God. Meaning our God chose us as Blacks and Latinos to be his people. He didn't choose everybody, and I'm going to go into that a little later and show you that God does not love everybody in the Bible. Keep going.
Much every way, chiefly because
much every way what?
Much every way, chiefly.
Much every way, chiefly. Meaning being a Jew, much every way, chiefly, greatly. It means everything to be a Jew. It means everything because this is who this Bible is for. It ain't for everybody. That's how you know the importance of it. No one can show me in the scripture that God loves everybody. I challenge you. Please do, because it's nowhere to be found. But I can show you a bunch of scriptures to show that God only chose Israel in the New Testament as well, and in the Old Testament. Because from Genesis to Revelations is only for our people. What advantage then have the Jew? What is the profit of circumcision? Much every way chiefly, meaning much every way greatly. It greatly benefits us to come back to this identity, to come back to who we are. And that's why they've been trying to cover it up, And how do you know, right, that they try to cover it up? I'll break it down to you. Kyrie Irving could have went out there and said, I'm an Egyptian pharaoh from the 4th dynasty. I'm King the Conqueror. Hotep, nigga. Nobody would have said nothing. Kyrie said that I'm a Jew. His world came crashing down. You would have thought that he would have put his hands on his wife the way Dana White did. You would have thought that he would have stole millions of dollars from poor Blacks and Latinos like Brett Favre did. But all he did was say, I'm a Jew, and retweet a documentary, and they shut him down. You can forget about Kanye West. You see what they did to that brother. He lost damn near everything, and now Adidas is crawling back. I'm going to get to you in a second, Ash, which is heavy. Came crawling back to him, and he said the same thing. Every time that someone says that notoriety, that's a celebrity, that says Blacks and Latinos are the real Jews, who comes out and shuts them down? The real question you should ask yourself, if them crazy niggas that call themselves Hebrew Israelites, if they're so wrong, how come no one refutes it? How come they come down and silence the people that say it? Why can't you prove us wrong? I can show you through history, archaeology, and through the scriptures in this Bible that Blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians are the real Jews. Why can't your rabbi, why can't your historians deny it? You know why? Because it's true. So when something's true, what do you do when something's true? You censor it. You get triggered. You get silenced. That's what happens. They don't like it. The truth is like medicine. It don't taste good. But that lie, oh man, it's amazing. That lie is like, you know what I mean, strawberry lemonade on a hot day. But the truth is going to make you feel better. I pray you understand that. Go ahead, Ashwa.
If I could, what's so heavy about what you're saying, right? And this goes into what we were talking about earlier about Christianity supposed to be our leaders. And the way it's so obvious that Christianity makes it to where you cannot defend yourself or have a position against the people who are oppressing you as Blacks and Hispanics. Because you know, if we praying to God in captivity and slavery, who we praying for? You understand what I'm saying? Like, what else would you pray for besides to not get abused every day? To not have to have your children pick cotton every day. You see what I'm saying? To not have your baby stoned to alligators. But if you do that, and you voice it out loud, what's gonna happen? You're gonna get beat. So that's the same reason why we get silence. And the heavy thing about what you said about the Kanye West part is it's a so-called Jewish man, right? And he talked to Kanye before he came up publicly and said what he said about Hitler, right? Before he said he already had said that to him that you understand like that he loved him. And he told Kanye, he said, stop. He said, whatever TMZ and tell him don't air that and that you didn't mean it. And he said, this was heavy well when he said, sir. He said, this is Jesus. And with Jesus, the way they teach Christianity, they would try to tell us to love everybody. But he said, it's not your place for you to forgive him, Kanye West. Basically saying that didn't happen to your people. So you can't say whether or not it's our place to forgive him for what he did. So they don't have, by the same logic, they don't have the right to tell us that we can't say anything about what they saying to us. Or say it's racist. Is the Jewish man racist for talking about what they did to him? No. Y'all let them lock him up when they find him when they 97. They still go right to jail. So why we can't say nothing about what happened to us? Crack is recent. Private prisons is recent. 500,000 in the abortion clinic, that's recent. You understand what I'm saying? That was last year before they tried to ban it, and then I don't even know if they banned it everywhere. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like it's just ridiculous, man. It's hypocritical, man. And that's why we gotta just be cool with being to ourselves and praying to our God and loving ourselves as a people, even with the scriptures in Christianity. It's like, say one more thing. People want to make God and take the responsibility out of it, but it's like, if God lets you do whatever you want to do and what you're doing is harming you, why would you continue to do that when he told you a way for you to not be harmed in the scriptures with the law?
Give me Deuteronomy 30 and 19. But I'll give Ash the walking hand. What he's saying is heavy, right? But I need everybody to understand what Ash is saying, and it's really important. There's a people, the oppressor that calls himself a Jew. No one says he's wrong for going to go fight old Nazis. Nobody says that anyone that wants to mourn 9/11 and still hold a grudge against the Arabs that did it, nobody says nothing to them. We're the only people that they tell that we have to turn the other cheek. You're like, oh, you got to remember what Christ said. Let me explain. I'm about to explain something to everybody that's a hard concept. And I'm speaking only to blacks and Latinos. When Christ was talking about turn the other cheek and love your enemies, he was talking about our people, the enemies amongst our people. We don't have to forgive the other nations for what they did to us, no. But you do have to forgive your brother. You do have to forgive your sister. The same people, same blacks and Latinos that say, why do you hate the oppressor? Why can't you forgive them? Why can't you forgive your father? Why can't you forgive your mother? Why can't you forgive your brother or your sister? I know your father may have not have been there. He may have ran off. Your mother may have did the best she could. She may have been on drugs. She may have had to do things that were immoral. Your brother may have harmed you. Your sister may have harmed you. But you know why they did? Because they're just as destroyed as you and I in the same ghetto. Your father wouldn't have got high and sprung on drugs if the oppressor didn't bring drugs in our community. Your mother wouldn't have had to do immoral things, to try to support you in the family or use drugs herself if they didn't bring them in. Who brought the guns in? Who brought the weapons in our community? We don't own planes. We don't own boats. We're quick to blame each other, but we don't want to blame the one who's actually responsible. Christ cut through the bullshit when he said, forgive your enemies, love thy neighbor as thyself, and love thy brother. Meaning you have to love that fellow black man and woman, that fellow Latino man and woman. That's who we have to come back to. That's who we have to forgive. That's not an option. You are a treacherous bastard if you hold a grudge against a fellow brother or sister of your nation, but you can forgive the other nations for what they do to us. And don't get me wrong, we do harm each other. We do evil things to each other. That's a family issue that we are correcting right here in the I.S.U.P.K. But when the other nations do something to us, that is an act of war and an act and a transgression against our God. Understand that. And our God already said what he's going to do to these other nations. And I'm going to show it to you in the scriptures. That's why what you brought up with Ye was so heavy, right? Because they telling Ye, oh, you don't have to forgive them. You know what I mean? You don't go down there and tell them, they can't air that footage. You know why they don't want to air the footage of us calling ourselves Jews? What if I told you that concept of them censoring us, coming back to our identity and nationality is as old as time? Let me 2 Maccabees 6:6. Kanye came out and said, we're the Jews. Censored him. Kyrie did it. Censored him. Nick Cannon, Deshaun Jackson. Everybody that came out that had a name that said that we are the real Jews of antiquity, they got censored. They ended up losing something. They took Nick Cannon's show from him. Right. They took his show from him. Like they publicly, what's the word I'm looking for that I can say that I don't get banned on TikTok? Castrated? I'm not pushing it. I'm pushing it. They publicly humiliated our brother, man, in broad daylight. They're making it, and they make examples of us. Now he's sitting up there. He ain't wearing the mitri like I got. That's glorious. He wearing the sister's mitris that got the head covered. He got that thing that grandma wear in the morning when she be mopping the floor and sweeping and cooking. Now he in Islam. Now he a Moor. Goes to show you, man, they beat us down. But they don't want us to come back to the truth. Go ahead, Oscar. You gonna say something?
No, I was gonna say they shame the brother in front of everybody. They make it to where like I was saying, it's the same thing from slavery in the Christian church. Rising up against the oppressor, saying this is who we are, it's a problem. If you're not allowed to say something against the people that's doing something to you, or even speak that type of life into yourself, because people don't understand what these scriptures say that. You understand what I'm saying? And that's the other part we missed out on is the reality of the Bible. But they just shame you in public for saying it. Just like us, they try to make it seem like we did black KKK. They said that, but we don't harm anybody. What do we do to anybody?
You reminded me of something. The Southern Poverty Law Center lists us as a hate group. Unjustly, of course, because we're actually a love group. We love Blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians. Right. We don't harm nobody. We don't commit domestic terrorism. But just a couple days ago, a lawyer from the Southern Poverty Law Center went down there to Atlanta and was throwing Molotov cocktails, you know what I mean, in a city outside of Atlanta at police officers. It sounds to me that the Southern Poverty Law Center is a hate group. We ain't never thrown no Molotov cocktails in nobody. We ain't go out there, you know what I mean, and protest and abuse people and come up against the system the way the oppressor does. Oh man, the oppressor start a riot at the drop of a dime. We don't do that. We ain't tear the city up, but they do it. Sounds like the Southern Poverty Law Center is a hate group. I said, what? They to take us off and fill that blank with their name. Right. But let me get 2 Maccabees chapter 6 and verse 6. The
book of 2 Maccabees chapter 6 and verse 6. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days.
Now, during this time, right? This is during the time where we were in captivity under the Macedonians, the Greeks, you know what I mean, and the Romans. They didn't want us to keep Sabbath days. They didn't want us to keep the Passover, which is coming up April 1st in Raleigh, North Carolina. They don't want us to keep the actual Sabbath, which is the seventh day, you know what I mean, of the week. They don't want us to keep the Feast of Unleavened Bread. But you know what they do want us to do? They want us to celebrate birthdays. They want us to celebrate Christmas and Thanksgiving and Valentine's Day and the 4th of July. They said, no, you ain't got that. No, it's not lawful for you to keep your Sabbath days anymore. Keep going.
Come. Or ancient fast.
Or ancient feast. Meaning this. They don't want us to keep that neither. They don't want us to keep the ancient feast neither. We just got done celebrating the Feast of Purim. The Feast of Purim and the Feast of Hanukkah. You know what I mean? With Mattathias and his righteous sons, man, coming up against the oppressor, coming up against the Greeks and the Romans, man. They don't want us to keep our Sabbath days or our ancient feasts. Keep going.
Or to profess himself at all to be a Jew.
Or to what?
Profess himself at all to be a Jew.
Or to profess himself at all to be a Jew. Kyrie can't do what?
profess themselves at all to be a Jew.
Neither can Kanye, neither can Nick Cannon, neither can Deshaun Jackson. You go out there and say you a Jew, they're gonna come and censor you and shut you down. Have you shadow banned on TikTok and YouTube and Facebook. Good night for speaking the truth. That's why it's important for us to understand how important the truth is. And guess what? Knowing the truth, right? We have to understand too that I.S.U.P.K that you touched on that I want to break down. Oh man, Divine said you can give me Deuteronomy 30 and 19. Because what's heavy, what you was bringing out earlier, Rock, is this. We don't have free will.
Right.
Let me dispel that myth right now. There's no such thing. And a lot of these things, when you hear it, you're like, come on, Yediah, what are you talking about? What do you mean that we don't have free will? See, you go in that church and they just sing and dance and tell you whatever without backing anything up through scripture. First of all, the Most High, 30 and 19. The Most High is our Father. Like Christ said, our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. If the Most High is our Father, and he told us to keep these commandments, and if we don't keep them, we'll be punished and cursed. Does that sound like free will? It sounds like do what I say, obey, or you're going to get punished. We have children, right? Do our children have free will in the house? Hell no. It's take out the trash or else. Or the else is words and phrases not suitable for TikTok. I'm trying to tell you. I pray you understand. There's no such thing. Like you think it's my choice. No, it's not. It's not your choice. Go ahead, I.S.U.P.K.
If I could, they say the time period they got for the Maccabean War is from 167 BC or 160 BC. So it was back then when we weren't allowed to say we was a Jew according to the oppressors. From back then, we couldn't profess that we was a Jew.
You know what's heavy? That's during the Macedonians, during the Greeks.
Right.
Guess what? Even sometime after that, when Christ was born, they didn't even want him saying he was a Jew. And he was walking around here saying he was the king of the Jews, the king of niggas. And everybody loved him, which is a lie. If everybody loved Christ, why you kill him? Why? Think about that for a second, which is heavy. Everybody in the church says that they love Christ. They love Jesus. But you would have been the ones that came up against him when he walked the earth. Because if I'm not mistaken, he had 12 brothers rolling with him. Not 12 million. He had 12 regular brothers. Peter was a fisherman. Like most of them brothers was was fishermen. Christ himself was a carpenter. Like, goddamn. Christ went to the scholars, the lawyers, and the judges of our people, and they rejected him for the Romans, for the oppressor. They said, nah, man, we like what we got going on with the Romans. What did he do? He came up and raised up 12 regular brothers. And that's the difference between us and your church. Because we teaching and telling you what it is straight out the Bible, while they're giving you a song and a dance and lying to you about free will. I'm going to get to the scripture in a second. Go ahead, Austin.
If I could, the other heavy part is like what we bringing out right now is the Christian church doesn't understand Christ, because what they do is they don't look at the Jews and the Romans as the people that they actually were. So what they'll do is they'll be like, nah, the Jews hated them. The Jews hated them, trying to say, like, that's the reason why it's okay to give the covenant to everybody else, right? So that's how they play it out. The Jews hated them. They give the covenant to everybody else. No, what happened was the same man that's ruling over us now was ruling over his people then. And the leadership and the people who wanted to be up under the oppressor and would rather be under him instead of being free under Christ, they're the ones that hated Christ. The ones that love our oppressor. Because you've been living with him for so long, he feeds you, he clothes you, he gives you water, he puts you in charge. He attacks everybody, but then you gonna sell out? All right, cool. Well, I'm gonna oppress your people, but since you sold out, you and your family, y'all gonna be good, and y'all got your own little thing where y'all above everybody, which is the Christian church, which is our leaders who get close, our politicians who get close to this. So there's a politician recently, it came out, he was like, I'm not gonna get nothing for helping black people. I might as well help out the rich people. You see what I'm saying? That's the what really was going on in the time of Christ. When Christ came in, they talking about, oh, it was the Jews that hated him. There was a lot of Jews that followed. You know,
they don't. You know what? They don't teach that, because here's the problem with that. They had a council. If you can, my phone. What's the precept where Caiaphas and them, that if we don't stop him, that all men will follow him. Meaning when they say, oh, his own rejected him, that's not true. Yes, there was some of our people that did reject him, but there was a lot of our people that did not. At one point, he had like what, 5,000? 5,000 I.S.U.P.K. And then after Christ started laying it down and saying what we couldn't do and started enhancing the law and saying, oh man, I.S.U.P.K, it was back down to 12 regular brothers. And Christ had determined them, you going to lead too? But then what did Christ tell us afterwards? What did Christ tell us afterwards? I'll tell you. Hold Matthew, the 10th chapter and the 5th verse. Hold that. I'll tell you. You was reading us, or you was reading something?
I was about to pull what you asked me for.
Yeah, pull what you got. I'm gonna get to that in 1 second.
This is John 11:47. It said, then gathered the chief priests and the Pharisees a council.
Mm-hmm.
And
now the chief priests and the Pharisees, these are the ones that are in charge. These are the ones, you know what I mean, that are the chief priests and the Pharisees during that time and during today, they would be your TD Jakes, your Creflo Dollars. That'd be them getting together. Keep going.
The politicians too.
The politicians. How could I forget about the politicians? How could I forget about them? Your aldermen, your senators, your state senators. I'll even throw your judges in there, your lawyers. Everyone that had power. They came and was like, hold up. Keep reading.
And said, what do we do? For this man doeth many miracles.
They said, this man doeth many miracles. They said, he rose the dead. Lazarus was dead. He was stinking. And Christ let him roll, and Christ rose him from the dead, healing the blind, healing the sick of our people. This is what Christ was doing. They see this, and they're like, oh, this, and imagine that. Your pastor and your imam, they see our king doing all of these miracles, doing all of these amazing things. Did they stop what they was doing and follow him? No, they got scared. They cleaved to their oppressor father and oppressor daddy. Go ahead, Ash.
And if I could, the other part of what you gotta understand is the preacher got a Rolls Royce. You think he gonna sell his Rolls Royce? You know, Christ said, sell everything. So I'm gonna sell my Rolls Royce and go follow this brother. When the Romans got me set up good, I got chariots, I got houses, I got, you know what I'm saying? I got power, people listening to me, I got influence, I got women, I got what's the word when you can do evil and they're not gonna judge you. I got preference in this kingdom. You understand what I'm saying?
You got diplomatic immunity.
That's what it is.
You got diplomatic immunity.
You got all this going on. Some brother from the slum, from Nazareth, which is the hood, that's the same thing as us. We come from the hood, telling you your preachers is wrong, your politicians is wrong. They don't really care about us. They're not showing that they care about the people. You understand what I'm saying? It's a political move to get closer to the oppressors so they can get money. And they're using your money to go buy a Rolls Royce and stuff on you, like you said. So they're gonna trade that in for the truth.
Mm-hmm. Ain't that heavy? You wanted to say something?
Yeah, I got a quick question based on what you're saying. And the Bible says the road or the path to Jesus, or to the faith, is narrow. But if all of them are doing it, where's the narrow part? They're supposed to be set apart.
Okay, let me tell you what's narrow.
Okay.
The narrow, you know a precept I run, right?
Is that the destruction? The gate to destruction is wide?
Yeah. This is what you got to understand, sis. When it talks about it being narrow, the Christ and the Most High, give me the precept too. Find it in the Apocrypha. In the Apocrypha, I think you know what I want. With the water on one side and the fire on the other. And when you find it, give it to young man Devontae and read that, because it's just to ask an excellent question. The path that's narrow is this. This truth right here is a hard walk. It's not easy. It's not. And I'm going to tell you why. It's very easy to go next door into that church and to be a whoremonger, to continue being, continue to being a murderer, to continue hating your brother and sister. You know what I mean? God said that abortion is wrong. Your pastor and the oppressor are saying, oh, it's all right. But God said it's wrong. But you'll be guiled by them and say, oh, I might as well do it. They'll talk you out of it. And it's so sad, right? This is why it's important to come up in here and endure. Like, this is not an easy walk. It's by no means. Because it's very easy for you to fall back into whatever wickedness you was in. That's what it means that the path is narrow. Meaning this, you ain't got no room to make mistakes, for real, for real. We in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes left right now. Like, if you still smoking weed in 2023, when God said it's an abomination, and you see World War III about to pop off, you see all of the signs and prophecies in this Bible that are playing out, brother, I don't know what to tell you. Like, that means you got a strong demon on you. That's why it's important to walk that narrow path, to walk in this truth. Because if you don't, you're going to fall into the same pit, the same destruction that you was doing for all of your life. Like, we've been wicked, and it's so, I'm glad you asked that question, because a lot of our people don't understand this. Most of us spent more time in the world. You spent more time being that old man, that old woman, being that old bastard, and it was second nature. Now you come in here and your slate is wiped clean. Now you're a new man. Now you're a new woman. I'll give you an example. If you were a brother that was the biggest gangster, the biggest, murderer, unaliving everybody, you come up in here and change your life, you become that new man that Christ wanted. It's like you didn't even commit a murder. You could be a sister that could have been the biggest whore of Babylon, the biggest whore of Philadelphia. You come up in here, sis, it's like a man never touched you. You are a new woman. Because I didn't know that evil monster that you were in the world. You didn't know that evil bastard I was in the world. That's why you have to let them go. You got to let them die. So when Christ is saying, when the scriptures say walk that narrow path, meaning you have to walk through the straight gate. That straight gate is walking through this truth, saying, I'm going to put away the old man. I'm going to let that go. Weed, you got to go. Cocaine, you got to go. Unaliving my people, hating my people, that has to go. Now I'm on the straight and narrow. But if you can't walk that straight and narrow, you might as well go next door to that church. Well, they'll tell you God loves everybody. They'll tell you that it's all right that if you want to have multiple partners, if you're a woman or if you're a man, a man can have more than one wife. But understand this, you can't go out there and get a rib and throw her away for another one. No, you go out there and have sex with two sisters, they both your wives, and you're responsible for both of them. But in the Christian church, that's acceptable. You can go and be the biggest whoremonger, the biggest whore with no repercussions whatsoever. When you walk this straight and narrow, you are being accountable by your actions by God himself. And I don't think Israel understands how important that is. Because this is what you don't understand. And I'm going to put it in a better perspective. During the priesthood of the Levites, if you messed up, you were stoned. There was no chance at redemption. Now, because of Christ, you have been redeemed. Now you can come back in here and change your life. But if you mess up now, the Levites ain't coming for you. God is. Let me tell you something. You may think, falling at the hand of, the oppressor or all these enemies is one thing. But if you disobey God, God can really destroy you. Not just in this life, but in your next one. Because reincarnation, regeneration is real. When you die, you come back. God can make things very tough for you. I pray you understand that. I'd rather obey God now and walk that straight and narrow. Think about it like this. Imagine if you were messing up in all of your lives. You did not walk the straight and narrow. But now you're here in this truth. You're here. Now this could be your last shot. Now you're here. Now is the opportunity to change and get it right. Get right now. Don't get right tomorrow. Get that out your mind. Like, that's another thing. Put that out your mind. Get that out of your vocabulary. I'll do it tomorrow. Do it now. Put away your proclivities. Put away whatever was vexing you right now and fight it now. The same way that you like to fight other people or fight people off, fight your demons that way with the same ferocity. Matter of fact, 100 times more. And I guarantee you, you'll win. A lot of us, a lot of us sell ourselves short because you listen to words from the pastor saying, oh, no one is perfect. We all fall short of the glory. That's nonsense. Christ said, be ye perfect, like your Father in heaven is perfect. That's in the New Testament. Christ, listen, I thought we can do all things through Christ, which strengthens us, right? Ain't that what they tell us in the church? That's in the Bible. We can. Perfection can be achieved. Perfection is not what you think it is. Being perfect is doing what God said to do and keeping his laws, statutes, and commandments. That's what it means to be perfect. You want to be perfect? Stop smoking weed. Stop being a whoremonger. Stop eating pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster. You'll be perfect. You got the precepts I asked for? Let's go.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 7, and verse 13. It says, enter ye in at the straight gate.
Enter ye in at the straight gate. Meaning this. When it says enter ye in to the straight gate, now is the time that you have, right? Now is the time to realize that this straight gate that you have, now you have a beeline to the kingdom. Imagine this. You're on a bridge. And we're going to get to that precept in Ezra, which is going to really break it down. Now you're on a bridge, and it's fire and water on one side or the other. And now, it's a straight gate to the kingdom of God. But also on the other side, now I broke it down of it being water and fire. All of the things that would vex you, that felt good, that was evil, is on either side that's calling you back. But Christ is saying, enter ye to the straight gate. Look ahead. Keep going. Don't look back. Don't look to your side, to the side. Keep going straight, and you get the kingdom. And that's a heavy thing too, man. To be a brother, to become up in this truth, to be a brother, to become a trooper, to become an officer, and put in this work, and to potentially get a crown on your head and rule under Christ. Oh man. To be a sister to come up here and change your life, and you get to marry your brother that's part of the 144,000, and you get all the wealth, you know what I mean, living amazing in the kingdom. You gonna throw it away for weed? You gonna throw it away because you have to feel good? You gonna throw it away so because you can't let go of your birthday? Damn all that. I'm trying to win. And the only way to win is to walk through this straight gate. Keep going.
It says, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way.
Wide is the gate, but broad is the way. Meaning this, which is important. The gate is wide, but broad therein, meaning only one can go at a time. Meaning you got to stay right down here, straight down the middle. You got to go forward. You got to march forward in this truth, no matter what is thrown at you. Keep going.
It says, broad is the way that leadeth to destruction. And many there be which go in thereat.
Listen, it says, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction. Meaning if you stray off of this narrow path and you go broad, you go right, and you go left, you leave. You're going straight to destruction. You're going straight to being unalived. And not just the physical unalive, the physical death. It's more importantly being a spiritual one. Meaning you're going to be done inside. And that's what you don't want. Go ahead, Ash.
If I could, you understand? Like being in here is like so multifaceted. Just what it do for your life. You understand what I'm saying? It's heavy by what you're bringing out. It reminds me of the precept where it say, through the renewing of your mind. It's like once you're able to even walk down this path, what got to happen is, like you said, a new man, your heart change, your mind change, you change as a person. Then you will understand, like, you know what, I can't do this type of thing to my brother. I can't do this type of thing to my sister. I can't go out here and destroy myself. I can't sit here and fall in my depression and let that lead to me being evil towards the words of God. And that'll make you change your life. You understand what I'm saying? And then, you know, you look at like the gate for destruction. It's like there's so many different ways for you to destroy yourself just by going off. And us being in here, we got the experience of time. We see people come in here that have been in here for years, and people that have been in here since the school started. We get to watch people's lives, or when they come in here, you see them put some script on and start to change and start to do better. But then you get the phone calls where they feeling bad about this or that. And some brothers get the counsel, they take it, they get checked, whatever happens, some sisters, the same thing. And they stay in here and they stay strong. They get right back on the path. They was going off, they get right back on the path. But some people leave. And then you see them later, and you know, they might be outside or eating out the trash can. They might end up dying or going. And we get to see it. Like we in here watching it. Like you could have came in here, you could have got off drugs. Now you back being an alcoholic, yelling at your baby mama. You understand what I'm saying? We was trying to counsel you through the situation. You didn't want to deal with the counsel. Now you back doing what you've been doing.
I've seen it.
Now you destroyed it. We get to see it personally, and it's like if we stay in here, man. First of all, we got counsel in here. We got the brothers and the sisters in here. We got the scriptures. We got a structure and a foundation, which is what our people is lacking. You understand what I'm saying? You want to go back out there to the world. You look at the Hollywood game, they're telling you about all the things they do to children, all the evil that they do and following after the oppressor. So you want to go be rich and go do that. But you rather be some rapper. You understand? And you're not going to really be rich anyway. They're going to take all your money, make you sign a bad contract. Then you're going to be out here in your 60s trying to perform the one hit you had back when you was 22. You understand what I'm saying? Talking about lollipop or some bulls when you in your 60s, when you could have just served the Lord, you know what I'm saying, got your family, got what you needed, and been part of a community serving the Lord. Now you've been evil for Esau, and he taking all your money. Taking
everything from you, man. And what you bring out is heavy. We've seen it. I've seen brothers that I came up with when I was in all black. You know what I mean? And those out there, they chose back out, smoking weed, eating out the damn trash. Me up. It's like, damn, like the help you need is right here. The counsel you need is right here. But it's a strong deal. Broad is the way. It's easy to fall off. That's why you got to stay right here on that straight and narrow. Read verse 14.
It says, because straight is the gate.
Straight is the gate. Straight is the gate. Keep going.
And narrow is the way, which leadeth unto life.
Which leadeth unto what?
Unto life.
Which leadeth unto life. Straight is, listen, man, straight is the gate, and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life. What you got, Ash? Make it quick.
If I could, real quick. And this right here goes to another thing too. Because our people tend to have a tendency to want to study everything and be in the Egypt. You want to be an Egyptologist, Islamic, Moorish, Israelite. You want to do all this at the same time. That's not how it works. You understand what I'm saying? You got to focus on one thing. So you might think that you go study everything and you will end up learning more, but what's going to really end up happening is it's going to confuse you and you're not going to be good at anything. You're not going to master the one thing you need to master. So when it says straight is the gate and narrow is the way, don't sit here and look at the Bible and be like, oh, that's just the Bible. But really, that's really the structure you need. And to where when you look at it, oh, that's just the Bible, then you go study everything else. Now you end up not doing nothing. You're more confused. You found some religion that lets you do mushrooms to smoke weed, or, you know what I'm saying, touch kids, or whatever the hell.
You need to root 4-1. Because what you're saying is heavy, right? When it says straight is the gate and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it. Why is it few that find life? What is life? What is life according to God? I'll show it to you. Let me get Baruch, the 4th chapter and the 1st verse.
Baruch chapter 4, verse 1. This is the book of the commandments of God.
This whole Bible and the Apocrypha is the book of the commandments of God. Keep going.
And the law that endure forever.
The law that endure for what?
Forever.
Forever. Not a short time, not a little bit of time, but forever. The law has not been done away with. Christ said that in Matthew 5:17. Think not that I've come to destroy the law or the prophets. Meaning this law endures forever. Keep going.
All they that keep it shall come to life.
That narrow and straight gate that leads to life is keeping the commandments. All day they keep it, you come to life. Meaning you think you're living your best life right now. You're not living life unless you're doing what God said to do and keeping these commandments. That's coming to life. Keep going.
But such as leave it shall die.
Such as leave it shall what?
Shall die.
You get unalived. You get unalived. Such as leave it shall die. Not just the physical death, but the spiritual one. Because when you go back and smoke weed or going back into your old self and doing all that wickedness, you die inside. And that's worse than any physical harm that can come to you, any physical death. I pray you understand that. That's why it's important, man, to do what our God said to do. Now, I'm gonna get you another one. Read what you got in Ezra. And then after give me Deuteronomy 30 and verse 19.
Book of 2 Ezra, chapter 7, verse 7.
Mm-hmm.
The entrance thereof is narrow.
The entrance thereof is narrow. The entrance to the kingdom and to this truth is narrow. Keep going. It's tight. Keep going.
And is set in a dangerous place to fall.
It's set in a dangerous place to fall. Meaning not only is it narrow, it's set in a dangerous position, a dangerous spot. Keep going.
Like as if there were a fire on the right hand, and on the left a deep water.
Like if there's a fire on the right hand and on the left there is a deep water. Meaning this, you fall to the right, you fall in that fire. You fall to the left, you're going to drown, fall in that water. Meaning this, you got to be careful when you walk into that straight gate. Keep going.
And one only path between them both, even between the fire and the water, so small that there could be one man go there at once.
Meaning this gate is so narrow, only one man, only one woman can go there at once. You can't go through together. You got to go through one at a time. That's why it's important to realize, man, we're just so heavy about this truth. I'm going to get to you in a second. Understand, when you coming up in this truth, and I know sometimes you want to tell everybody, I'm going to tell my family, tell my uncle, tell my auntie, tell my wife and everything. Maybe the Lord just wanted you. And I'm not telling you not to teach them and show them, but the Lord called you for a reason. And they'll watch you coming up in this truth and watch you change. Then maybe one day they'll want to come in. Because what's going to happen is you're going to come in and maybe your wife will fall weak. Maybe your brother will fall weak. Maybe your sister will fall weak. Maybe your father or mother will fall weak. I can attest to this personally. I came up in here with my brother, my man, my homie from the world. You'd have thought, man, this is a brother I would have died for. Came up in here and I ain't want to come. I had a demon on me to not want to come to class. But what's heavy about that, right? He kept pushing me. Come on, man, stop being a punk. Come on, go check out the brothers. I got here and was like, damn, this is it. That demon that was on me jumped on him. He ain't been back in here since. GEN.YAHANNA said that he couldn't mess with white girls and smoke weed and eat tuna. His heart broke, sis. We ain't seen him since. Damn. I pray the Lord bring him up in here. But imagine you walking through that straight gate and one at a time, and you see your homies or homegirls in the front and back of you fall into the fire, fall into the water. What are you going to do? Right. You're going to fall back unto them and die with them in their wickedness, fall in the fire or the water? Or you're going to strive for the kingdom? Or you're going to strive for perfection? You're going to strive for what our God is going to give us, man. I think I'm going to choose life. I'm going to choose life. A lot of our people choose wickedness. Don't do that. Don't do that. And which is important about it, man, what the scripture is saying is so heavy. The right, you got fire. The left, you got water. It's mean you only have to go straight. Meaning you damned if you go this way and damned if you go that way. It's important, man, to keep going down this narrow path because the reward is everything. And let me show you what that reward, let me tell you how important the reward is. Let me tell you how important it is to understand this and the light that's being spoken about here. You think you have free will, that you could decide your fate. No, you do not. If you don't do what God says to do, you are postponing the inevitable, and I'm going to show it to you. Deuteronomy 30 and verse 19.
It says, I call heaven and earth to record this, to record this day.
Our God said, I call heaven and earth to record this day. Keep going.
Against you, that I have set before you life and death.
God said, I call heaven and earth to record this day against you. Meaning, remember what I'm about to say. This is our God speaking. Our God's name is Yahweh. And he's saying, I call heaven and earth to record this day, that I have set before you life and death. I broke down what life and death is. Life is keeping the commandments. Death is not keeping them. Keep reading.
So, blessings and curses.
Blessing and cursing. Meaning, I'm saying before you, you can either be blessed or you could be cursed. Keep going.
Therefore, choose life.
Therefore what?
Choose life.
Therefore what?
Choose life.
Where's the free will in that? Where's the free will? It sounds like our Father just told us to do what I say. Choose life. Choose to live. And it saddens me because a lot of our people, sorry, sis, no sweat, all phones on mute. A lot of our people don't even know that you're choosing death every time when you smoke that blunt, roll up that weed, be that whore, that whoremonger, or to be that killer, be that murderer. You can't do that. Our God said to choose life, meaning keep the commandments. Go ahead, Ash.
I can comment after that. I'll give you the next part.
Go ahead.
It says that both thou and thy seed may live.
That both thou and who?
And thy seed may live.
Not just you. If you're not going to do it for you, do it for the kids. Do it for the babies. You don't realize how selfish that is, that you're going to destroy not just your life, but our next generation's lives too. How selfish can you be? How evil is that? I was like, God damn, give the kids a chance.
Right.
Give them a better future. Isn't that the point of being a parent? Isn't that the point of being a father or a mother? That's the point of our God telling us to choose life. Not just for us, that we can live and the generations that come after us. So us choosing not to live, you're making that decision not just for us, but for the babies too. Think about that. You wonder why the youth and why the kids are so evil today. You wondering why they're getting high and being whores and whoremongers and glorifying gang activity. Nigga, you did it. Right. Sis, you did it. Sisters don't realize, man, you showing your behind on OnlyFans and on social media, and then you're going to get mad at your daughter for doing the same thing? 20 years down the line, you're going to speak to her about morality when you didn't know about it? You're going to tell your son to not sell drugs and not glorify the guns and the gang activity when you built yourself and reputation on it? Don't be a hypocrite. Choose life. Put those things aside and become that new man. That's why what you pulled earlier was heavy, Josh. That when Christ said to be reborn in your mind and your spirit, meaning now you're a new man. Let that old man and woman go. Let them go. Tell them goodbye. Christ did not die so you can continue doing whatever wickedness you were doing. Christ died so you can have the opportunity to do right. That he died so we can do better. That'd be like you, I.S.U.P.K. You in court sitting, chilling, right? You just there. A young man, Devontae, is on the stand. He's guilty of everything. You stand up and say, Your Honor, I'm going to do that life bid for him. I'm going to go to jail in his place. He would be a fool to go out there and to commit and do the same things he was doing to get back in that situation. That's right. Knowing what I.S.U.P.K did for him. That's what our King, Christ, Yahweh did for us. He died so we could change, so we could be better. That's why the scriptures say, man, that if you go out there and sin willfully, after you've been, told this truth, that there remaineth no more sacrifices for sins, meaning Christ ain't going to die for you again. Now you're going to fall into the hands of the Most High. You don't want that. Trust me. You don't want that. Go ahead, Ash.
Now, if I could, what's so heavy about the scripture and what we bringing out, you know what I'm saying, just to give a little bit of a broad understanding, is what end up happening is you really learn how to be unselfish when keeping the Lord's laws. You understand what I'm saying? Because like it's very easy for you to go, well, I'm gonna sell drugs to this person's brother, sister, or father so that I can get rich and take care of my people, but you destroy their family. That's what we do when we don't keep the law. You understand what I'm saying? We can destroy, like, because your household was in chaos and you raised your children a certain way, now children that are raised properly gotta go to school with your kids, and your kids are terrorists. You understand what I'm saying? Now, you know what I'm saying? Your son that you taught to be evil because you was evil, now he go and marry some sister that her family didn't teach her to be evil. She
Imagine you're a brother, right? And you raise your son up in a nice environment, a nice neighborhood. Your son makes the NBA. He sees the King Vons. He sees the gang activity. He gets drafted by the Memphis Grizzlies. But deep down, even though he had a good life and was sheltered away from all that wickedness, now he gets to live that fantasy that he sees. I'm pretty sure you know I'm talking about John Morant. That's what happened to that brother. You mad at him? He's going off of what he sees on television. He wants to be King Von, but he doesn't understand the consequences of being King Von.
Right.
What was the consequences? A young brother, 23, 24, life gone for what?
Right.
Life gone for what? I'm pretty sure he would rather be here, glorifying a lifestyle that's not beneficial to our people.
Right.
That's why it's important to do what Ash was saying, to do what God was saying. Because now, even though you may bring your kids up right, now they got to go out there and see other kids that are not and be tempted by that. That's why it's important when the scriptures say to train a child up right in the way that he will not depart. I mean, if you bring your child up in this truth, knowing God's laws, statutes, and commandments, listen, when they get tempted of what's going on the outside, they're not going to fall for it. They're not going to fall for it. They're going to say, I'm better than that.
Right.
That leads to nothing. And it's easy to get beguiled by that because you see it and it's glorified. And it's an evil thing. If I could just touch on it, not to cut you off, Ash, like I'll give you a prime example of that and how insane this world is, right? I'll give you something modern that's going on today. Everybody knows Russell Wilson, right? Everybody knows he's married to Sierra. Sierra, you know what I mean? Multi-millionaire, you know what I mean, was with Future. She went out, you know what I mean, left Future, got tired of getting, you know what I mean, tired of him being a whoremonger or whatever, went and got the cornball brother. You know what I mean? Russ a good Christian brother, you know what I mean, I.S.U.P.K, but brother's a simp. You saw what Sierra was wearing, you know what I mean, at the goddamn Oscars. That's a respect thing. And then sisters, I respect the sisters that called Sierra out on this. Because now you making music for sisters to be single and to be, you know what I mean, independent and all that nonsense. So I'm like, you don't need a brother. The whole time you married to a brother. You got a whole family that most sisters would fight for. You got a lot of sisters out there, I.S.U.P.K, that would fight for what she has. But you glorifying something that's not beneficial for our family structure. That's the problem with this place. You're glorifying the wrong things. Listen, man, that's why, which is important, man. Our God said this, that Christ is the head of man, that the man is the head of woman, and the head of Christ is the Most High. That's important to understand. And that's what we have to get back to. Because now that brothers, you know, there's people out there calling Russ insecure. It's like, hold up. Like, no brother wants a woman out there dressing like, you know what I mean? Gosh, what can I say? Go ahead. What can I'm on TikTok. I can't say what you know what I want to say, but I can't say it. A harlot. No brother wants their woman out here looking like wearing the attire of a harlot. Like, you don't want that. That's not a good look. I get the other side to it, and let me show you how evil that is. That are those that will argue, right? What's wrong with being independent? What's wrong with doing my own thing? What's wrong with this? What's wrong with that? I'm going to cross-examine it for a second. There is nothing wrong with a sister going out there and having a nice job, being educated, But when you start to think that you are above that man because you have those things, keep that same energy when the oppressor kicks down your door and you're going to need a brother to fight for you. They don't want that conversation, Ashtawa. They don't want that conversation. You independent, right? Imagine if me and you married, sis, and you make more money than I do. You claiming you the head of the household, you're over me because you're better than me and over me because you make more. Imagine you hear something at night and you say, can you go downstairs? I turn and say, well, you know, baby, you got that 401k, you making $100,000 a year. You need to go downstairs and fight for that household. You're going to look at me like, this nigga. Like it or not, don't matter if that brother makes less than you, he's still over you. He's still your head. That if somebody has to give up their life for their family, it's going to be that man. That's how God and Christ intended it to be. And that's how it should be. That's how it should be. You get caught up in the nonsense that you don't need that brother. And guess what happens? They come in and destroy our households. They do that. They do it. And you see brothers being emasculated every day because they're ultra feminine, and seeing sisters ultra masculine. That is going against the balance of things. That is not how God intended it to be. Prime example of that, look at the Wade household. I don't even got to speak too much on that. God damn. The first time my son come to me talking about, daddy, I think I'm a girl. Me and that young brother will have a nice conversation. Me and my daughter will have a nice conversation if she thinks I feel like I'm a boy. No, you don't. You're watching the television. That's the problem. You're looking at the internet. Talking about my pronouns are she, our pronoun or them or they. You know why they say their pronouns are them and they? They got demons on them. They got legion. Right. That's what they mean when they say my pronouns is them and they. It's legion because they are many. You talking to all they demons. Well, guess what? My pronouns is sir. My pronoun is, sir, officer, kahan, priest. And we cast them demons out. I pray you understand. Go ahead, Ash. You gonna say something?
No, if I could, you know what I'm saying? Even with the family structure and with the man being in charge like a fucking Christ, another thing that ended up happening when sisters think they make more money is,
give me that too, Ash, or give it to Devontae. You know what I want in Mark or Matthew. When they kick out the strong man, buying the strong man. Buying the strong man.
You just like buying the strong man.
Buying the strong man, it'll come up.
But with another thing that ended up happening, which is part of the issue, is, and the oppressor knows he know that if he isolate the man and from the woman, and she's just in the house with the kids, because nobody, we're not gonna stop having sex. Nobody gonna stop. You understand? The Lord put that thing together just right to where we're not gonna stop. So because we're gonna keep making kids, he knows that if he's the one helping to pay your bills, or he give you a job, or this, that, the third, and you kick the man out the house, who's going to be in the house to tell the woman and the woman and the children how to have a balance about the things that they do or the things that they watch? You understand what I'm saying? Like a father see you watching something with your child and like, hey, don't let them watch it. You understand what I'm saying? They might stop you and be like, look, why are you watching? You think that's okay? That's not cool. You don't need to be. You understand what I'm saying? So the things that a father do to kind of keep the house in order is demonizing this kingdom. So what end up happening is you're gonna raise a king up. You understand what I'm saying? You're gonna raise a young sister, and she's going to go get surgery to go get a BBL, and she's gonna go follow rappers around and get tossed up in the air and thrown away. When the father would be like, listen, when you get older, I'm gonna teach you from your youth, and when you get older, I'm going to be the one to vet a man talking to you. The man don't even mention coming to talk to me. You shouldn't even be thinking about talking to him. You understand what I'm saying? And the other part was heavy about what you're saying is it was a video in Atlanta where they tried to kidnap the sister. So what he did was he showed up with flowers. So she think it's a gift, trying to kidnap the sister, right? So she let him in the house like, oh, it's real heavy. You understand? I can't, just set it down, and I don't want you to pick it up. You might hurt yourself. Let me just help you in the house. And then when he got in the house, he tried to kidnap the sister. She went and looked on her cameras, and they had been watching her house for weeks and weeks and weeks. You know what they're watching the house for? To see if a man is coming over there. You understand what I'm saying? Because ain't nobody coming to take your wife if you in the house. You understand what I'm saying? Then if you a man, like, sisters want to get these little dogs. You know what I'm saying? The little dog that weighed 13 pounds like a cat that can't protect you from nothing. We gonna get a Corso. You understand what I'm saying? We gonna get an American bulldog, the big one. You understand what I'm saying? And have him out there and let him run the yard or whatever. So even if I'm not home and somebody try to take you, it's 2 Corsos in the yard that's gonna bite the hell out of anybody. If you understand what I'm saying? So the protection that we provide to our communities, the structure and the direction that we provide, like even with like make it personal, me and my rib, like she sees the way that I do things, and she's so thankful that I'm in here. You understand what I'm saying? And that I deal with her the way that I deal with her. She said, listen, me not having a father, I've never been dealt with like this. You the first man that came into my life that tried to deal with me the right type of way. You understand what I'm saying? And our sisters is missing out on that because of being sold the dream of an American oppressor. Really, that's what's used to destroy us.
Listen, man, that American dream is really destroyed. The sad thing is, you'll think you don't. And listen, let me speak to this too. Brothers need sisters too.
Right.
They need each other. But the problem is the roles is being reversed. They want brothers to be feminine and sisters to be masculine. And that's the problem. That's not how things are supposed to be. And here's the thing. Yes, the sisters are out of order. But brother, we out of order too. That's why the I.S.U.P.K here. We fix that brother, and that brother can go and fix his sister and fix his kids and fix his household. Because the household falls apart when the man is not there. When the man is not there, you are easy pickings. You're easy pickings. They can just roll up there and do whatever to you. And you want to know how I know you easy pickings? And how do you know that you're not as big and bad as you say you are? What's the first thing a sister will do when she don't agree with what her husband or a man is telling her? You go and call another man. You go call I.S.U.K. Go call the police. They come and get him up out of there. You know why you can't do it? Because you're not built that way. You're not. And you may not agree with everything. Like I.S.U.K was saying, that brother may see something that you don't see. He don't see the impending danger around potential decisions that you might make based off your emotions. Now, I'm not telling brothers not to listen to your rib. I take things into account all the time, but you better believe I get the final say. You're not gonna go behind my back and do something. Hell no, that ain't gonna work. It's not how this works. That brother may see something and say, hey, this ain't the right move. This ain't beneficial. And the important thing to realize is that that's biblical. That's how they were able to come up in our households and plot on us the way that they did. You got the scripture I asked for? Keep reading.
Book of Matthew, chapter 12, verse 29. Or else, how can one enter into a strong man's house?
Christ is saying, how can you enter into a strong man's house? You can't enter into I.S.U.K's house with him there. You can't come in my house if I'm there. You're going to have a problem that you're not ready for. But you know how you do come up in the house and take everything and do what you want and have your way with the wife and kids? I'll tell you how. Christ is about to explain it. Read.
And spoil his goods.
And spoil his goods. You can't come up here and rob me of everything if I'm in the household. You're going to have an issue. I pray you understand. It's not what you want. Keep going.
Except his first bind the strong man. And
first bind the strong man. Listen, you got to bind that strong man. You got to get him up out of there. You got to emasculate him. Let me tell you what's so heavy about that I.S.U.K. I like to watch snowfall, right? I should not be watching snowfall. But this is something that and if y'all watching the show, you're going to know what I'm talking about. You know why Esau was able to go and get Louis and beguile her and trick her and make a deal with her? Because Jerome is under her. He couldn't have came to Jerome with all that shit. He couldn't have. He'd have had to squabble with him. And as you've seen it, you don't want to squabble with that brother. I ain't squabbling with no nigga that lift weights 24/7 that got a Jerry curl. That's not, you don't squabble with that brother. You don't. Esau is intelligent. He go to his sister. He go to his woman. What does she do? God damn, I should know what that remind me of what Esau did with Louis. Adam and Eve. See, the serpent was the so-called white man. Snakes don't talk. But there are type of serpents that do talk. They're people. That's the white man. He didn't go to Adam and try to beguile and get up in Adam's ear. He said, no, he won't listen to me. He 10 toes down. Let me go talk to her. what did he tell Eve? You don't got to listen to God. You don't got to listen to Adam. You don't got to listen to your man. Girl, you ain't got to do that. They don't want you to know. You can be like a god. The same thing applies in 2023. The oppressor, white man got in your ear and telling you that you're a god, and now you believe it. Now look at us. Scriptures even said Adam wasn't in transgression. Eve was. But Adam messed up by listening to her. Adam should have put his foot down and said, nah, babe, we ain't doing that. God said this. But who better to get you, to get you up out of there? And that's the tactic that they use. You can't come into a strong man's house and spoil his goods unless you first bind the strong man. You got to get him up out of there. You got to get him up out of there. Go ahead, Ash.
It's so heavy. You know what I'm saying? When you got the spirit to really understand these scriptures. In the Christian church, they just over there banging that drum, playing that same weak song every week. They don't get these type of lessons. And it's like when the bind the strong man is so multi-level because it can go for the nation and then it can go on an individual basis too. And then there's so many different ways to bind a man. And Esau is intelligent on how to deal with people. If he financially destroy you, which when he shut down the factories, he financially destroyed it. Then offer your woman some money to take a house, but she can't have a man in the house, and y'all got kids, you and her. Now you in a bind. You understand what I'm saying? And the bind to make you go, you know what, babe? Take that and go stay over there. I'll figure it out. I'm the man, because as a man, like you said earlier, you go downstairs into the danger, I'll be homeless so my woman can have somewhere to stay. And my children don't got to be outside because I lost my job in the factory. Or because they won't hire me because now they got unions and different things and not hire our people. You understand what I'm saying? I'll go somewhere else and find work where's work at. And y'all can take that, and next thing you know, the family destroyed. Now the drugs come in the neighborhood. The drug dealer, he don't want to stay with you no way. So he come through, do what he do. Now your children and the generation is destroyed right after that. Our oppressor is not done. You understand what I'm saying? And then now you teach the woman to be above the man to where she don't even respect the man that make more than her. And if she meet a man that make more than her, she's not going to respect him either. That's the reality of the situation.
Ain't that sad?
She don't respect men, period. If she find a man that make more than her, she's like, oh no, he's trying to control me. I ain't having that. You understand what I'm saying? So now there's nobody to ever tell you what to do. When you're going to raise children, they cannot be told what to do. You understand what I'm saying? And when they get 15, your daughter is going to fight you. You understand what I'm saying? When they get 15, your son is going to go, I'm going to go find some masculinity outside and gangbang.
That's what you saying. What Isupk is saying is so heavy, right? That's a rough call. That's a rough call to make. You get with a man that make more than you, oh, he's controlling. You don't own me. You take half of what he got. Or if you got a man that don't make as much, you emasculate him every day and make him like he's a child. He becomes your child. He ain't your man, he's your child. Then you castrate him and throw him out, and then you raise your daughter up. Your daughter's going to want to lay hands on you when you're 15, 16. Right. Then your son is going to leave and run the streets. And then you got to do. Hey, that's me. Can you come over? You deal with your daughter. Can you talk to your son? It's a rough one. But you could have just listened to that brother. Right. You could have listened to him. That's why what Christ said is heavy, man. That you can't come into a strong man's house or spoil his goods unless you first bind that strong brother. You got to get him up out of there. You know why? You can get food stamps, cash assistance, public assistance, you know what I mean? All of these different things, Section 8, all of the housing. But you can't have a man. You know why? The serpent now becomes your man. That's right. The white man is now your man. He's now your man. Try to tough it out with that brother. Right. Thug it out with him. Listen, at least you know the brother ain't gonna leave. Brother gonna be loyal. Now y'all they looking at me like, what you mean the brother ain't gonna be loyal? Yeah, I said it. Black men don't cheat. Black men don't cheat. We strong brothers that take care of all of our families, no matter how many of them that we have. That's the catch right there. They be like, that's the part right there. But understand this. which is important to realize, right? When that brother is there for the wisdom and the guidance and the counsel for his household, they can't come in and ravage it. You can't do it by yourself. You can't. How do we know you can't do it by yourself? They came in, our households were number one in the 40s, 50s, and 60s and early 70s. Once they took the black man out, our houses plummeted to the bottom. But I read an article in 2023, I.S.U.P.K, that said fathers are in the household more than ever. From 2022 to 2023, black fathers is coming back in the crib. We coming home.
That's right.
We here. Now I.S.U.P.K is raising up these fathers, man. The joke I said, we done finally got the milk and came back home. And finally came back, I.S.U.P.K was like, damn, baby, you know, that line at Walmart was something else. They're like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, Jay. Yeah, cut that weed smoke out. You can't do that. So you tell your daughter, you can't have boys up in here. Yeah, throw that Christmas tree out. House is out of order when he's gone. When he come back, oh man, daddy's home, papa's home.
Right.
And that's how it should be. And which is so important, man, and I want to speak to the sisters for a second. What Ash was saying, you just don't respect brothers, period. You don't respect the man that make more than you because you feel as though he's controlling. You for damn sure don't respect the man that you can emasculate and talk back to. Believe it or not, you love a man that can tell you what to do. You do. You just don't want to admit it, but it's all right. It's okay. And that's why it's important to realize what our king, what he's saying is so heavy. That's why what's going on in the world with like Sierra and Russell Wilson, and you see how they're promoting all of the alternative lifestyles, how Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle is living with their families. That's evil, man. That's evil. Like Wade is failing as a father, failing by allowing his son, and I'm saying his son because that is his son, to commit all of that wickedness. That's why it's important, man, to understand that, brother, you got to be strong in this truth. You got to stand fast. That if you don't stand fast, guess what? Our families are going to be destroyed. You can't have that. Go ahead, Ash.
What's so heavy about what you're saying was with that family, and I don't like to leave Jada Pinkett out the bed.
Ash, there's 5 minutes left in this class. It's 5 minutes left. It ain't enough time in the day to go over that. Where you got a sister that molested her son's friend. And then publicly emasculated her husband on a show that he pays for in his basement, to the point where he goes out and takes out his frustration, not on you, not on another man, but on Pookie from New Jack City. Go ahead, but maybe go over the time.
if I could, right? And that's the problem with the brother being out of order, is the man's supposed to be able to see it. You understand what I'm saying? America, Esau is the devil that the Bible speaks about.
That's right.
Man that's following Christ, right? Like a brother in the I.S.U.P.K, you're going to see all the nonsense coming. You're not even going to let your children come to that with that nonsense, and let your wife come to that nonsense, because you follow the scripture. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
The scripture said he made them male and female. That's the end of that. We ain't got nothing else to talk about.
That's
ain't
right.
no they, them, whatever. Hey, listen, he made a male and female. You understand what I'm saying? That's
right.
That's just what it is. You just keep it there. A brother's supposed to marry a woman. It says men not allowed to sleep together. It said women not supposed to go off from their natural use. You understand what I'm saying? Like once you get into these scriptures and you follow Christ, you understand what I'm saying? And you teach your family right, that's what happens. But when you got a brother that's out of order, you know what I'm saying? The sister going to end up destroying the house, and your family, your kids is going to run the house, in the house telling you what to do. You understand what I'm saying? And that's just what it is, man. Like, that's why brothers got to be in order, man. It's like
absolutely, man. That's why the brothers are supposed to be in order, and it's important to understand that. And before I end the class, this is what we all have to understand, especially coming back in this truth. Give me 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 15. Baba Kushaw. Because this is important to understand too, man. And like the scriptures say in Ephesians, I'm going to read that. Ephesians 5 and 22. Ephesians 5:22 says, wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as unto the Lord. Meaning this, you have to submit unto your own husbands as unto the Lord. Meaning you have to submit to your husband like he's God, because he's your God. You lay down and have sex with that brother. Sex is marriage according to God. That is your husband. And brother, that is your wife. Meaning wives, submit yourselves. Meaning do what that brother says as long as it's lawful. You know what I mean? Do what that brother says. He is your head. Verse 23 says, for the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church, and as the savior of the body. Meaning this, man. The husband is the head of the wife, like how as Christ is the head of the church. Like how Christ is the head of the school, the husband is the head of his wife and his wives. 24, it says, therefore, as the church is subject unto Christ, so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything. Meaning this, you have to be in subjection to your own husband, like how the school is in subjection to Christ. Man, you got to listen to what that brother says, man. Verse 25, husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it. Meaning, brother, you have to love your wife. You have to love your Eve. You have to love your ribs. The same way how Christ loved us. And if you have to give your life up for them, you got to give your life up for your wife. You got to give your life up, you know what I mean, for your family. I pray you understand. And the best way to understand that is to come in this truth and learn under the I.S.U.P.K. Now, if I could, give me 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 15.
It says, therefore, brother, stand fast.
Therefore, brother, stand fast, meaning stand strong in this truth. Man, come up in here and stand fast, meaning stand strong here in the I.S.U.P.K. under command of General Yohanna. Keep going.
And hold the traditions which ye have been taught.
Keep going.
Whether by word or by epistle.
And hold the traditions, whether by word or epistle, meaning this, hold the traditions, the same traditions that we have been taught, man, since 1969, even as early, you know what I mean, as when Adam was given the breath of life, you know what I mean, from the priests and prophets, you know what I mean, from Adam down to Moses, down to, you know what I mean, to Jeremiah, Isaiah, down to our King, Yahweh Shai Mashiach, who the world knows as Jesus Christ, Yahweh Shai. We have to uphold these traditions, man, whether by word or epistle. I mean, we have to come up in this truth and do it. And with that being said, man, I'm Priest and Officer of 1,000 Year Diet. This is the history class. Make sure you tune in, you know what I mean, the Black Watch every Monday with Commander General Yohanna from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Man, make sure you tune in to General Haas every Monday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Let a Hebrew speak. 12 show General Mayaka Allah. Ashy the Prophets every Wednesday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Tune in to Cross Line Radio at night with Captain Tazariak and Captain Kadazar from 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. Tune in to One West Radio with my big brother, Priest and Officer, Captain of 13,000 Gadol, and them brothers out there in the West Coast, man. I want to implore you all, man, pay your Passover fee. Look forward to seeing every Black, Latino, Native American, Indian man at this Passover in Raleigh, North Carolina, April 1st. Make sure you get down there to that Passover, April 1st in Raleigh, North Carolina. And with that being said, I'm going to pass the class off to Priest and Officer Rashta.